That's just what I keep drawing to for some reason.
Leave it to Big Al to have our most emotional, intensive conversation on lobster and beer to compare your life story to Like Mike.
I'm not comparing the life story. I'm comparing this.
You need to fix your shit. My man's opening his heart. One of the most epic stories I've ever heard. Like Mike.
But
Let's go. 'Cause it brings us all together for a night we'll all remember. The kind of times we want to last forever. An unforgettable experience. Moments spent with all our friends, gathering around the dinner table.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to Lobster and Beer TV, coming to you live from Demon Records in Scottsdale, Arizona.
this week we got an inspirational guest for you guys, PK Wood. Don't forget, check out that new merch, lobsterandbeer.com, link in the description.
As always, a portion of the proceeds goes to the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention.
And
we
there's
got-
going to be to get Brian a new shirt because the Bruins stink. They do. Sorry. It is what it is.
Well, yo, shout out Get Maine Lobster for supplying us with the fresh rolls. And Big Al, let's eat, baby. Big Al, are we rolling right now?
We are rolling. Yeah.
We're rolling?
Everything, yeah.
All right. Well, we're going to dive into that story. But, welcome back to Lobster and Beer, the Scottsdale local edition with the most influential people in Scottsdale. This is a very, very, very special episode to me. We met, like I said, like a year and a half ago, a little under that. PK, homie, dude, you're such an inspiring dude, man. Like, your story's crazy, bro. Yeah, it blows my mind, like what you've been through, and I want to dive into it.
Yeah.
Damn, bro. So it was like a little under a year and a half ago that we met.
Yeah.
And you were working at Bottle Blonde right down the street.
Yeah, right down the
club
street.
here in Scottsdale.
I was doing that, and I was an assistant teacher for 3 to 5 year olds at a Montessori school.
What's the Montessori school? Where's that?
So it's in Paradise Valley. Montessori, that way of teaching is more hands-on. So
Okay.
less sitting at a desk and more let's get tools and actually do hands-on work.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, instead of a regular puzzle, it would be a 3D puzzle with different layers. And the different layers were the life cycle of a frog. So like teaching that biology and then the interaction.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
So a
That's
different
super cool.
style of learning.
It's a newest.
that's crazy.
That's like the next wave of child learning. I'm pretty like that's what everybody.
Oh,
wants.
is it really?
Yeah,
What
for sure,
grades were those?
So that Montessori school in Paradise Valley, that one was it was a preschool to 8th grade.
Damn, yeah.
Well, that's a big one then. Yeah, because
Yeah.
I grew up with one right down the street, and it was preschool to like first grade, first grade, kindergarten stuff. So 8th grade's even really
How
bigger.
many-
They must.
How many kids go there? Sorry to cut you
No,
off.
you're
my
good.
bad.
I want to say there was around 1,000 students all
Oh
together.
yeah, that's a big
Yeah,
one.
that's a
Wait, so
pretty-
is Montessori, is that a brand of school or is that like a type of schooling?
Yeah, so it originated from this woman named Maria Montessori who adopted that style into schools and then later branched off, and she opened up her own schools.
Yeah. Oh, that's dope.
And
man.
now there's Montessori academies and different brands of Montessori all
Yeah.
over the valley now.
How'd you end up there?
I actually went to middle school there.
Oh,
did
for
you?
real?
No shit.
Yeah.
All right, hold on. Let's bring it back. I want to bring this back, man. I'm so interested because I've caught like little bits of your story that you've told me. Take me back to like young PK, man.
Young,
like how,
oh.
yeah, because this blew my mind when you told me
Okay,
this. I was like, how the f- are you the person you are today based off
Yeah.
this story, man? Like 5 years old, weren't you on the streets?
Yeah, that's when I was found. I was found at 5, but I'll say.
What do you
prior-
mean found?
So I was homeless at 5 years old. I was abandoned at a crack house at 5, and I was looking for my mom because I was always a mama's boy growing up. So I was at the crack house. There's a bunch of people shooting up, doing all types of drugs and paraphernalia, and they were talking about my mom.
Yeah.
And for me, I always grew up like, hey, you don't talk about my mom.
Of course.
And she already, like, when she raised me, that's what she would always preach, is don't let anybody talk about your family bad or you bad.
Yeah.
And if they do, then you could put hands on them.
Right?
That's the catch.
Respect. Yeah.
So when I was abandoned, that's when I ran away. I stayed there for 1 day, and then my mom wasn't there. So I woke up, I left, I ran out the house, and I was on the street by myself. I really don't remember how long I was really on the streets, but I knew how to survive given our background because we grew up in shelters. And when my mom was at work, she would date men that were affiliated with gang members. So I'd get babysat by gang members when she's off at work. So they take me to break and enter, and then after that, like, they slip me through a window. I go unlock the door.
Well, hold on.
That was at 5 years old?
Yeah, I was gonna say 5 years old.
Wow. And you, real quick though, so you said like at 5 years old and you were abandoned, you knew how to survive on the streets.
Yeah, because
at 5 years old.
Because what I was raised. So
Yeah.
also, I'll say like that 3, 4, 5 age, that's really where my survival instincts, and I was homeless, I was in shelters, I was on the street. So my mom, she'd turn towards men or friends that she had to stay, and then we'd go crash at their house. So I was always bouncing around, and then my mom would also like teach me how to do things and survive on the street. And then these people that we'd be around aren't the best people, so they'd also, like, hey, if you want to survive.
Was she doing drugs at this time?
Yeah, so she.
You're 3, 4, 5 years old. She's doing drugs. You guys
Yeah.
are on the street, but at the same time she's doing drugs, she's also teaching you street smarts as you're going through it.
Yeah, and the people that are also around that we're affiliated with.
Do you remember a lot from that time? Like,
I'll say I remember the trauma,
Yeah.
because that's what sticks out, right? So it's not the positive childhood experiences; it's those things that are scarring that stay with you,
yeah, of course.
and that's
Of
what I
course.
remember.
Yeah. I'm just curious, man, because like, if she's doing drugs, how is she teaching? But obviously, it was those moments where she was probably somewhat sober that she
Yeah.
was able to say, "Hey, like, I'm going to protect you," and then, then she would go off on her high or whatever it was. But there was those little increments where it was like you were being taught at a young age. You were, figuring out how to survive at 5 years. I didn't know how to survive at
feel
5
like
years old.
No one did.
Yeah, I
that
feel
was
like a
piece
little
of-
bit of it too was like just fight or flight instincts. Like even if
That's
she wasn't
true.
teaching you, it's like you're seeing like how she does stuff, and like you're obviously like learning off that. So that's crazy.
Mama bear instincts that, again, like we'll learn more about the story and stuff, but again, at the end of the day, whether you're on drugs, whether you're on anything, like, there's mama bear instincts that I feel like kick
Yeah.
in above all. And
She's
again,
still,
like,
this is my kid.
You were still
Yeah.
you were still the priority. Again, like, your well-being was the most important thing. I
Oh,
gotta
yeah.
assume, at that.
Yeah.
And like, I'll tell you, like, there was times where one of the dudes she was dating, he brought the kids around to wherever we were, and I didn't like the kids. I wasn't getting along with them, so we were fighting all day. And then
Yeah.
he gets home from work, and then comes up to me and he's like, "Hey, my kids were just saying that you were doing all this." And to me, like, that's not my dad. I don't have a dad. So when male figures come around trying to act like my dad, and I'm so used to them rotating, it's
Yep.
like a Rolodex of men at this point. So
Damn,
I'm
bro.
like, I don't know who you are. Like, this is me and my mom, and that's it. And I started arguing with him, and then, he started choking me. And so, like, I got choked against the
Whoa.
wall. And then the last thing I remember is my mom with a pan, and she was screaming. And then I blacked out, and I don't have any recollection after that.
Were you still 5 years old at that point?
Yeah, so I was up 3 to 5. So I'll say 5 was the most traumatic, because that's where a lot of events that led up to the abandonment. I'll say my grandmother was our rock, and she would also be living with us in a hospital bed, so she couldn't really get up that much.
This was when you were 5?
Yeah.
So your grandma, she was sober, like she wasn't on drugs doing
No,
stuff. Like she was a
no.
rock for you.
But she was old.
in the
She
sense of-
was sick. Was she?
Yeah. She was
Yeah.
slowly dying of old
Yeah.
age because she's older 70s. And I'll say when my mom wasn't as addicted to drugs, like, it wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
My grandma would be there and she'd be the rock. So like when me and my mom, I was a really rebellious kid. So when my mom would argue, it's just my grandma would pull me in the room and like, hey, like, sit down, talk, and calm me down, and it'd just be like that. Like, I found that some people have those types of relationships with their grandparents.
Yeah.
Like, you might get in a fight or not get along with the parents, but grandparents come and then whole
Boom,
world
you snap out of it. Yeah, I was that. My nana was that to me. Like, she was, till this day, man, she's the greatest person I've known in my life.
Yeah.
You know, and so I always, when I was a up as a younger kid, and I hated my parent. You know, I told my parents I'm done with you. I told my brothers I was done with you. She was the one person that, like, I'd go to her place. She'd cook me a steak on, like, her George Foreman grill.
Yeah.
And just, like, talk to me, and just, like, with her Boston accent, self-Boston accent, be like, Brian, like, what's going on with you? Like, I don't understand what's going. But that was the same what you're saying, man. That was my rock. Like, that was the one person that was like, all right. You know, and as I started to turn my life around, that, like, she was kind of the catalyst for me to be like, all right, after she passed, I was like, I got to do this for her, man. Like, and so I understand that in a lot of ways. So, dude, 5 years old, you're going through that.
Yeah. Well, can I let me elaborate on to what led up to my abandonment? So it was my grandmother dying. So she died, and I held her hand when she died, and her last words were "I love," and then she died like mid-sentence right there. Damn. And at that point, we were already at the hospital because we had noticed that those health issues were declining, like she was not doing okay. So when that flatline rang, it was like in the movies where the nurses come in, they're trying to pull me off my grandma, and then my mom's yelling at the nurses like, don't touch my kid, and they're trying to use, you know, like the defibrillator and like bring her back to life, and it wasn't working. So with my mom and I, it was only us. So it was us three. So when she died, my mom lost all of her support and was stuck with me. And she had already had the drug addiction, although it wasn't as severe. So with that death, then everything escalated, which then led to me being abandoned because she couldn't do it. So, you know, I have had the opportunity to rekindle. I later found her 13 years later. So at 18, I was working at a law firm, and they ran a skip trace. Are you familiar with what a skip trace is?
No, I don't know what that is. Yeah.
So it's used to find people that evade taxes or missing people. So a skip trace will pull up.
I hope they don't run that on me.
That's
They go
right?
Hey, it's cool. They can look at my account. They're not getting it.
But it'll pull up a person's family member, past address, email address, phone number, all that stuff. So at 18, the rule with my adoptive mom was that I couldn't go find my biological family until I was 18.
Oh, wow.
And I didn't understand. So when I was in her care, I was always running away, and I ran away so many times I ended up getting a misdemeanor. But later that got wiped because I stayed out of trouble. But like midnight, like October 11th, midnight, I used her car, went to that address to go find my mom, and she wasn't there.
Midnight when you turned 18?
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Did she ever tell you, real quick, did she ever tell you the reason why you could only do it when you were 18?
Yeah, because she didn't know what I'd find.
Fair enough. Yeah.
And that's the thing. And in my head, I'm building up a fantasy for 13 years that, okay, mom did want me. Mom wasn't messed up. Like, mom's a superhero. Because still as a kid, I'm like, that's my superhero.
You didn't know better at 5 years old.
Right?
Yeah. But your foster mom was protecting you.
Yeah.
Or what she thought was protecting you. Yeah. Okay. That
So
makes sense.
adopted mom. So the difference.
Adopted mom. Okay.
Yeah.
What's the difference? I don't even.
So fostering, that's when you have somebody that's currently in the foster care system living with you in a parent home setting.
Okay.
So they're there temporarily. Adoptive would be going through that process.
How long were you in foster?
2 years.
So what was that? 5 to 7 or?
Yeah, 5 to 7.
Yeah.
So I had a failed adoption because this rich family, they wanted to adopt me, but then they wanted to change my name. So they wanted to change not just last name, but first, middle, everything.
What's your full name, bro? I love this
Yeah.
shit. I love it. What's your full name?
McPullen Kind Estes Wood.
Isn't that dope?
Remember
right?
that shit.
dope.
That's French royalty right there. I mean,
Right?
Jesus Christ.
Pulling kind though, isn't that sick?
For sure.
man?
Yeah,
Especially for like what he's doing now.
For
just
sure.
Pulling kind. dude.
And that means, so I found out that I'm Nigerian. And so MC, that means son of. And then Pullen Kind means man of kind. So I found out that my father was Pullen Kind, PK, and he passed down that nickname to me. And my name, Mick Pullen Kind, means son of kind.
Oh, that makes sense. I've spent 3 weeks in Nigeria.
Okay.
My best friend is from Nigeria. Went to school out here, in high school out here, and we met. And then I went back to to see what was what everything was going on over there. It was one of the most greatest life experiences I've ever had in my life, for sure. It was unbelievable. But that's a crazy story and a crazy name to go with that, for sure. So then, real quick though, so your father, at least you took over your father's name, but your mother never mentioned your father. Your father was
very brief. So oh my God. Okay, let me tell you the story of this and how I was even born. So my dad, he was a polygamist. So he had 6 wives in Nigeria. He was a Nigerian army captain. He came over here, was in Denver, got a degree at University of Denver, then moved out here, became a nurse in a psychiatric ward. And my mom was a patient at the psychiatric ward.
Oh, damn.
Whoa.
Damn.
So then they hit it off, and then they had me. So that was how they met. So already off rip, it was like this.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know if this is true.
I can't relate to that at all. Besides, I know Chase is a polygamist with 6.
But so did he? I again, we don't have to talk about it if you don't want to. But did he did he just straight up say you guys are off on your own?
Okay, so this is my mom's story, right? Now, she said and claims that when I was an infant, him and other Nigerian family that were here were trying to do some type of ritual on me as an infant. Using, things.
Black magic.
Yeah.
Real, I mean, that's, real. Yeah.
So to me, I'm like, I don't remember. I'm an infant.
Yeah.
So I don't have any memory.
Yeah.
And she said that when she saw that, she freaked out and took me and ran. And that's when we started, being homeless. We were in domestic abuse shelters and then just bouncing around everywhere.
That's pretty crazy. So again, so 7 years old then.
Yeah.
You've gone through one failed adoption.
Yeah.
And then you found then your current, how did that come to?
Yeah, so I was in a group home at first, and that group home specifically had all different ages.
This is all in Arizona too,
all
correct?
in Arizona.
Okay.
So that group home, the first initial one I was in, had all different age ranges. So they had babies all the way up until teenagers, all in the same house, which a lot of bad things happen because you have all these young people, children, infants that come from all these different backgrounds, and you're sticking them in one house. So there was a lot of stuff that happened there. So I was there for 1 year, and then this elderly African American couple came, and they were really cool. They took me out. I think we went out to lunch. I can remember it was yesterday.
A smile.
Right? Yeah.
That was awesome.
Dude,
that was awesome.
I'm like a little kid. I'm chilling in the group home living room watching Pokemon on Cartoon Network. And then the group home manager comes and gets me and say, hey, there's a family that wants to talk to you. And to me, I don't even know what that means. But they just wanted to take me out. We went to PetSmart to look at animals. I remember I got a ferret, and it was going all over me. I thought it was the coolest
Were you
thing
angry
ever.
at that time though?
Yeah.
Where was your mental state at that time? Because you went through a lot of
I did.
leading up to that.
More than most people even have gone through in their whole life.
And that was also after a failed adoption, right? You had met that family too,
Yeah,
right?
so
yeah.
when it took a lot to get me angry. So it was only a few things would get me pissed off. Was if you try to restrict me and I don't have freedom, then I'm gonna get angry because I'm used to not having any type of structure. I'm used to doing whatever I want. So I'd get very angry.
At 5 years old.
Yeah, bro. And I was big too. So I was always big for my size. Age.
Yeah.
My size was above average for the age that I was, and then I just stopped at 6'1".
Yeah.
I mean, I could have gone for 6'3", you know.
Yeah.
I know, dude. I stopped at 6'2".
Right, bro.
5'2".
But it was the things that would piss me off would be restricting my freedom and talking bad about my family or friends that I'd established along the way. Because to me, I never had anybody. So it was those people that I have, I'm going to hold on to and I'll ride for them.
Yeah.
And I've learned, like that has negative consequences sometimes when you hold on to the wrong people and it's detrimental to yourself.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely, man. It can break you in a lot of ways too, because you realize as you're going through that the person that you're holding on to is actually not beneficial for your mental clarity, your mental health in a lot of ways, and they don't help provide for you in a positive way.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's that loyalty though is important, and that's embedded in you.
Mm-hmm.
That's a beautiful thing. So you have this second family, so you the failed adoption, which I'm sure, did that fuck with your head?
Oh yeah, for sure. And I never knew the reason why until 3 months ago. So
Literally.
3 months ago, I found out the reason why that they put me back was because of my
You're
name.
talking about 3 months ago from today?
Yes.
Oh, wait,
Yes.
what are you talking about?
So I work for Department of Child Safety now.
Yeah.
And my old case manager, my first case manager that I ever had, now is super high up in DCS. And she found out that I was working at DCS. So she shot me a message on Teams, Microsoft Teams, like, hey, can I come down and talk to you? And then she sat me down and she was like, hey, so I was your ongoing case manager 15 years ago.
Whoa,
That's
what
crazy.
did that
just
feel
gave me
like,
goosebumps.
bro?
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Bro, I started to cry and tear up in my cubicle at work because I was like, what? And I've noticed along my life there's been too many coincidences for things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it just
You're an anomaly, bro.
it was crazy.
Yeah.
I'll say this morning, so me and my team were at a conference of 400 people that consisted of judges, attorneys, and CASAs, which are court-appointed specialists that help young adults in the foster care system now.
Okay.
So it was their once-a-year conference, so it was an audience of 400 people, and we got to have a panel about all of our experiences and also give advice and speak about the young adults we work with to help
That's dope.
improve the judicial system for them.
Yeah. That's super dope,
And
man.
that woman that told me that she was the ongoing case manager was in attendance. So at the end, I gave her a shout out in front of everybody and just let her know that, she really gave me a second chance because she was the one that found me off the street at 5.
So because I want to talk about the work you're doing
Yeah,
presently, but let's go back to back then. So
Wait, real quick, though, finish the story.
Yeah.
So what was the failed? So, what
Yeah.
was the reason for the failed adoption at that time?
Oh, yeah.
So this is what she told me. I told them. They wanted to change my name, and I told them no because then my mom won't be able to find me.
That's
And then they put
That's
me back in
beautiful.
the foster care system because
of that.
Yeah.
just for that one reason.
That loyalty,
Damn.
bro.
Yeah.
I love that, man. And you're still that way, which is
Yeah.
fucking amazing. That's embedded in you. It's a
Yeah.
beautiful thing. Damn, dude. So good. So let's go back though. You get adopted by that family.
Mm-hmm.
And then everything's good. You're happy. Life is great. 7 years old.
Boy, oh no, them anger issues came out. So I was adopted by a single mom, and she has an autistic son. He has Asperger's, which is a form of autism.
Yeah.
Um,
It's actually a beautiful thing. Like kids with Asperger's are like the moments I worked with a couple kids with Asperger's in Sweden, and the moments that you have with them are like monumental, man. Like those moments where they're only 6 years old, so it was like we'd be on the playground and like the kid would like fall down the slide and like tumble and fall, and then he'd look at me because he'd jump up and he'd be like, yeah, bro. And he used to come up to me and give me a big hug, man. Such a beautiful thing. But sorry, keep going.
no,
man.
you're good. I didn't share that experience.
Respect to the homie. Sorry, respect to the homie.
No, because we were brothers, so there was a lot of hostility going on. And he was 12 and I was 7. But because I was big, I was about his size. So it'd be constant, a lot of fights. And I didn't understand at that age that just because he's 12 doesn't mean he's going to act like a 12-year-old. So then I'm going into that environment and I'm getting told that I have to act older although I'm younger. So to me, I'm like, well, y'all not even really my family. You telling me I got to act a certain way and he's older, but I got to act older. And I just felt robbed. So I felt robbed of a childhood. I felt robbed.
I mean, at 5 years old, you
Yeah.
were robbed of a child. I mean, you were
Yeah.
thinking of a 16-year-old.
Yeah.
By the time you were 5, I can only imagine by the time you were 7 and you're being told that. Yeah, your
Yeah.
mental state is a state of 15 years upgraded. Essentially at this point.
Yeah, it's a lot. It was a lot. So there was a lot of fights, physical fights, holes in walls, all types of stuff, and a lot of arguments, and that's what led to eventually fast forward a couple of years. I'm 12 years old, and I'm starting to drink, and I'm starting to smoke, and I'm starting to steal.
drinking at 12.
Yeah,
Smoking weed at 12?
yeah,
Damn, bro.
and it was just like, well, that's what I'm used to. That's what I grew up with. And then I got some neighborhood kids, and they're all older, so they're in middle school or they're in high school, and I'm homeschooled. So when I got adopted, I was homeschooled till 5th grade.
The single mom's homeschooling both of you?
Yeah, and
Wow.
renting a daycare out of her house.
Oh, damn.
So it was a lot.
So you didn't even get the attention that you
Nah.
needed
None.
at that
Yeah.
age, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I will say that she did try, although I turned it away because I was so angry.
Did you get angry at her, too?
Yeah. No, I said a lot of hurtful things to her.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I got older that I realized that those things really damaged her. So I've had time to make amends and have conversations about the past
That's
with
beautiful.
her and gain that clarity
Yeah.
and mend that relationship.
That's
But to be fair,
Worse.
too, again, there's not that there's
Yeah.
justification as to why you felt the way you felt.
Absolutely.
The road that you've been on, like this is totally, that makes sense and it's f***ed up, but it makes total sense that that you would that you have those issues and you would be angry. I would be angry. Like, there's total justification to be angry at the world at that point.
But you also, at the same time, during that, you were still like, my mom is my mom.
Yeah,
Like,
for
because
sure.
you had that loyalty.
And that's when I was
Yeah.
starting to run away or go look for it. Every time we left the house, we're in public, we're at a McDonald's or something. I'm walking away, I'm wandering off because in my head, I'm like, this is an opportunity to go find my mom.
You're thinking about that in the back of your head. Holy
So from the time you were 7 to the time, or even whatever you were getting 5 from 5 to 18, was that
Find
a thought
my
that was
mom.
forever?
Find my mom. That,
how do you go from that experience, that lifestyle, as a 12-year-old, or from 7 to 12?
From 5 to 12.
Looking for your mom.
yeah.
And be the person you are today, dude. That just
Yeah.
makes no sense to me. Because what was it? Was it your foster mom? Like where was the change? Because you were with your foster mom, 12 years old. You're angry.
Adopted mom.
I'm sorry, adopted mom.
No,
My
you're
bad.
good, you're
I
good.
keep saying that. That's my bad. You're with your adopted mom, but you in the back of your mind continually looking for your mom.
Yeah.
And there's an anger towards your adopted
Yeah,
mom.
like,
and there's an anger towards your older brother. So what changed that? Like what turned it around to get to start you on the right path at least? Because that sounds like right there where you're just going down, and it's gonna be bad.
12 drinking
Yeah.
and smoking.
Yeah, drinking and smoking, man.
Well, one, she didn't know. So she didn't know because I could fake it. Or I'm having a sleepover or I'm doing something. So I'm real good at putting on a face.
Yeah.
Because I knew. So I'll say growing up that way, you learn what people want to hear. Excuse me. So you put on, I'll speak from I. So I put on that face, that mask. Like, okay, cool. I know they want to hear about grades. They want to hear, oh, you're doing cool. You have friends and all this. Like the average life.
Mm-hmm.
To me, that's the average life. So I was like, okay, I'll just fake it. And
Where did you learn that from, though, originally? Real quick, where did you learn that from?
Just off people, man. I've always been good at reading people. And it was, well, also like the men my mom used to date would try to play dad. So when I go to school and get in a fight, because I'm taught I can put hands on somebody if they disrespect me, then they're trying to discipline me. So I'm getting like hit with the extension cords or the belt or physical, like all that stuff.
Yeah.
And to me, like I was crying and like it hurt and stuff. And I was like, okay, why is this going on? And then I started to develop the mindset where, okay, hit me, it's not gonna hurt, and I'm gonna look at you in the face while you hit me, and I'm just gonna get angry and angry and angry, and then eventually, like, they wouldn't know what to do, and then it just led because they're like, they can't kill me, or my mom would step in when it got too serious. So still to this day, I don't have any bad memories of my mom back then. And what really messed with my head was that as I was getting older, I started to realize that that wasn't a normal childhood.
Yeah.
So
I feel like you just learn the psychology of people like at a very, very young age.
Yeah.
On like, hey, if like I say I'm getting good grades, I'm not gonna get in trouble.
yeah,
And it's like it's on them to call your bluff, honestly.
Uh-huh.
And like I'm sure they might not.
yeah.
So like,
no, it happened.
as long as you're just doing your PR.
But again, I mean, that stems from
like telling people what
At
they
12
want.
years old.
Shaking hands
not
with
even at
babies,
5 years
bro.
old. Because again, when you go through, when you're
People
trying
don't
to,
learn
when
that till they're like way out of college or like
no doubt.
like that's
When you're trying to be
A lot,
adopted, I feel like when
yeah.
you're trying to be adopted, though,
That's a lot to
yeah,
learn at a young
You
age.
want to fit an
for
image.
sure.
you have to play a certain role.
You got to play that
which
part, man.
hate
That
to-
makes sense,
I hate
dude.
this. I
Wow.
hate to bring this.
I didn't even think about that
This
part.
this
Yeah.
brings me back to not serious, but like Mike.
Yeah.
The basketball movie,
Yeah.
you know, with Lil like it's like that kind of frames what you went through. Maybe in when you were trying to get adopted and stuff, you know, that I feel like that's just what I keep drawing to for some reason.
Leave it to Big Al to have our most like emotional, intensive conversation on Lobster and Beer to compare your life story to Like Mike.
I'm not comparing the life story. I'm comparing this.
You need to fix your shit. My man's opening his heart. One of the most epic stories I've ever heard. Like Mike.
But again, that was a f***ed up thing, but where you had to put on a face that wasn't necessarily yours, but you understood that at a young age that if I need, you know, whether you wanted to be adopted or not, that you had to be a certain type, you had to act like a certain type of way.
Yeah.
To get, you know, like, so when you were in foster care, was your goal, can you think back, was your goal to be adopted? Like, did you want to be adopted? You want to find your mom always, but like.
Yeah. Like, no to adoption. Like that was like me. Cause I was like my version of adoption was that you're going to take me and I'm getting moved somewhere else. Okay. So I was already moved from off the street to buildings for questioning to then put in a group home. And then, you know, you're going to take me away from the group home into this foster home. And then now I'm going to potentially get adopted with this family.
Yeah,
like,
then you're like losing control. Like what you said
there's
earlier,
no stability.
Like, if you're not like
zero stability.
If you don't have like control, like you hate it. Like that's one of the things you said that like made you angry. Like I completely understand that.
Yeah.
For sure.
No, that's crazy. I mean, but did you at this point too? I mean, were you, so again, you were adopted, so you're adopted, you're angry. Let's go back to them, what Brian asked. When did the shift kind of start to change? Maybe where you weren't as angry or did you what started to change when you got into your adolescence?
High school. Well, what? I got my black belt in Taekwondo growing up because my adoptive mom, she figured that me and her son needed a physical outlet, so it was martial arts. Mm-hmm. But then we started using that on each other. So, so that didn't work. And then it was putting me in football. So that's what it was for me. I figured out that I could hit somebody and get praise for it. Yeah. So it's like instead of hitting people and getting in trouble or sent to a principal's office or them calling home, once I learned the technique and stuff, I get a hit and it's cool. It's okay. So then that just gave me the full go ahead. When I'm pissed off, I'm just going to hit somebody. So I was an offensive lineman. So as an offensive lineman, you're hitting somebody every play. So like I got scars and stuff all over my knuckles.
But that's a healthy release though.
Yeah, right?
Especially offensive linemen.
But did you feel, like I said, when you were doing that, did you actually, like did you feel anger of your past life, like coming up? Like,
I'm
sure, bro.
And kids are mean.
Yeah.
Kids are
the
mean,
meanest.
bro. What?
Yeah.
So, like, what? The N word. That was a quick trigger of mine. I'll never forget. We were playing at it was like a Pop Warner game, and this kid called me the N word, And like I just lost my so I just started driving him, and then I just keep headbutting him into the sideline, and then the ref had to come get me, pull me off, and I had to sit because I went too far. The play was already over. But to me, I just saw red, and he called me.
Yeah.
And that's what my mom taught me. If anybody disrespects you, whatever, especially that.
Yeah, you fuck 'em up.
Yeah, right.
No doubt.
So that's what I did. So I'll say football was huge, and it also in high school I had a coach. And his name's Coach Martinez, and still to this day he's like my father figure.
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
Wow. Shout out.
And I found
shout
him,
out Coach Martinez, man.
yeah.
For real.
Like
Yeah.
the realest man I've met that's been there through everything. And also my uncle Jay, he was a big help because he was also adopted into the same family.
Yeah.
So he'd kind of mentor me and guide me. So when shit got out of hand and my adopted mom didn't know what to do with me, first person she calls is him.
Yeah, yeah.
And then he'd take me on.
He steps in and you
yeah.
listen.
Yeah, because he's been through what I've been through.
See, that's the thing, man, and that's what connects
Yeah.
to what you're doing now. But that's you need that love,
Yeah.
man. Like you need that backbone
It's
of
the
love.
support system.
That was for me, man.
And
When
just,
I was
the
like,
immediate respect too, because like you know he's gone through it, so like you
Yeah.
obviously just like immediately respect him and know like whatever he says obviously like has an impact on.
It's not just somebody that says, "Oh, I understand what you're going
Yeah.
through." Like, no, you don't.
no, you have no
Yeah.
idea. Like and that bullshit, that fake bullshit of,
Yeah.
oh, I know what you're going through. And it's like you have no idea. You have no idea what I'm going through. Like you're my rich white friend's dad that has been through this, and it's like don't try to fucking relate to that. And for me, it was like when I was younger, and I was like I tried to kill myself, bro. And like I had people come up to me and be like, "Oh, I know what you're going through." I'm like, "Shut the! I don't care about you, dude. Like you have no idea. Like you're just trying to be a positive influence in my life." And I wasn't even thinking that deep in it at that time, but like I knew I could see through the bullshit. But then you have those real people that you connect with that you're like, yo, you actually understand. Obviously our stories are totally different, but for me, it was like, I understood there was people that had gone through stuff like I went through, like with my family and my mom, that I was like, oh wait, you actually do connect with that. And well, I might listen to you for a second. Cause right now I was in like beast mode. Don't give a about anyone. I hate everyone in my life. And then there was a couple people that actually like were able to speak to me from a level that I realized like, damn, you actually have been through similar stuff from when they shared their story. And that's what impacted me the most. And it sounds like that your Coach Martinez, and then you said your uncle?
Yeah, Uncle Jay.
Yeah. There's those were those like those rocks for you, those backbones of love, man.
Yeah.
Which is the most important thing in the world, dude. They were the love that you needed. But it came from an authentic place.
Yeah.
It was important. Yeah.
And they cared. So like growing up in this family, like we were still on the poverty level. So we're still going to food banks. We're still getting support. My coaches, Coach Martinez specifically, and our athletic trainer at Saguaro High School. So I went to Saguaro.
Oh, you did go to Saguaro?
Yeah.
That's my football team right now.
Yeah.
Since I moved to Arizona, bro.
Right?
I go watch them play. No, I go to the games. I've been to like
I'm
2 or
so
3 games.
down.
Yeah.
Wait, does Martinez still coach at Saguaro?
Somewhat. Yeah.
Oh, for
That'd
real?
be fun to go to a game.
I went to dinner with him and some of my old teammates about a month ago.
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
Last September and October, A Blocks and I went to. I was like, yo, there's a artist that I love. His name's Jason Isbell. He's one of the best songwriters of our time in like the Americana folk country world, and he writes a song about like getting sober, or before he was sober, he would like go to the high school game and just drink whiskey in the back of the bleachers, and it was like super
Friday Night Lights.
yeah, for real. And it was like super nostalgic to me when I listened to it. And I hit up my friend A Blocks and I was like, yo, let's go to like a high school football game. It was the first like 6 months I moved here, and we went to a Saguaro game, and dude, we had so much fun, man. And then we went to a second game like when they were in the playoffs, and we got to meet like the booster families and stuff, and they were so nice, man. They were so cool.
It's a real loving community.
And then we found out the quarterback that we saw is like, he was like a 4-star recruit. He went to
DJ Foster, who came
Georgia.
out of there.
Yeah,
was a
DJ
heavy-
Foster, Christian Kirk, Byron Murphy.
Christian Kirk.
Christian Kirk went there. Yeah.
A lot of they all came.
Dude,
from
Arizona
Saguaro.
has some good ball players.
They do.
honestly.
Yeah.
Like Bijan just came out of
Keely
Tucson.
Ringo. He's on the Eagles right now. He was
Oh wow.
corner for Georgia. He got drafted by the Eagles.
Damn.
this
Oh
last
damn,
draft.
dude.
that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you played for them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Offensive line.
Yeah.
Let's go.
It was cool. I'll say the community that was the best part, was because I really found like a brotherhood there and a support system.
Yeah, you needed that at that time
Yeah.
too, or at least coming into that, especially.
For sure. And it got
Yeah.
to a point where, I'm sleeping over at other teammates' house and their parents might know like my situation. So they're making extra food so I can take it home, or they're sending
Damn.
their kids with extra food to give to me at lunch.
Yeah.
Or the athletic,
That's beautiful.
Yeah,
they're making sure I got protein bars and protein shakes so I can keep up and do stuff like that.
And so you were aware enough to recognize the love that was coming in from those people.
Yeah.
And you felt it. And that was like probably besides like your uncle and the coach, like that the community behind
Yeah.
you was the transition from, being this angry
Yeah.
youth from what you went through
Yeah.
with your come up to at that time. Would you say that was like some of the biggest turning points when you were playing football?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I feel like too, was that one of the first times you actually like realized there was like love in the world?
Yeah.
Like damn near, like not love, but like support outside of like
yeah.
Just your mom. I
obviously-
mean, your mom.
Yeah, just like
Honestly, back in the
surviving.
day, like your mom was your backbone
Yeah,
of
like
love
that
and
was
support,
my
right?
backbone. And I'll say, like, I've had support along the way. Like, even when I first moved in, we had a neighbor named Jamie McNeil. And when my mom didn't know what to do, my adoptive mom, she just sent me to Jamie's house. And Jamie also had a son that was friends with my brother in that house. And she just let me cool down, just talk. And the crazy part is she also works at DCS.
No way.
Yes.
No way.
So, dude, yeah. So take me there now, man. Like, so you go through that transformation in high school, and then you finish high school. Did you have any idea what you wanted to do at that time?
Yeah, so I went to go play like D2 football in Nebraska.
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's dope.
It was cool, man. I'll say, but that was the point, right? Where I start realizing that I have anger, but hitting people just isn't doing it for me. So, and right around that time, I'm 18, 19, so I've already found my biological mom again. So I'm trying to establish a relationship. So I found out while I was out there playing ball that she got cancer. So that was like, okay, well, I'm not that passionate about football anymore. But I've proved to myself after 6 torn ligaments, 2 surgeries,
Damn.
that I can play at the collegiate level.
Yeah.
So I was like, cool, I'm okay with that. I'm clean, I'm clear. And then my mom had cancer, so I wanted to move back, and I tried to take care of her. So I'm like, and it was rough leading up to leaving for college because my mom's living in a shelter. I found her.
Was she still using then?
Yeah, fentanyl, which is crazy that she's alive.
Damn.
Because cocaine and fentanyl were her, drugs of choice. And
How real quick though? How did you
Yeah.
how did you actually end up finding her and reconnecting with her?
yeah, so like I said earlier, I got that address.
Mhm.
And I drove to that address at midnight with my best friend Desmond, who also grew up in the neighborhood that I was adopted into. And we went to that address and nobody was there.
Yeah.
So then I went back to the law firm and I just like, hey, like, what can we do? And they found a different address. So then I go with my uncle this time. And I show up and I'm knocking on the door. Well, my uncle knocks on the door. He tells me to wait because it's still in the ghetto area.
Mhm.
And he didn't want anything to happen to me. So he went first. And two older ladies answered the door. And, we asked for Gail. And then they were like, who's that? And then we're like, I stepped forward and I said, well, I'm Gail's son. And
Yeah.
they were like, okay, well, that doesn't make sense. And I was like, well, why do you hesitate, right?
Yeah. Why?
And then they said, Gail's son is dead. They said that he got hit by a car when he was 5. So then,
Did she not know?
no. Well,
Okay.
I'm getting to it.
Okay.
it. So my uncle left his number and told them when Gail gets home to call him. And then he told me that Gail called later that night, and he said, "Do you want to talk to her?" But first,
This is your Uncle Jay too.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, this is my
Okay.
Uncle Jay.
Yeah.
And he was like, she was telling people that you were dead because she couldn't cope with the fact that she abandoned you.
That's deep.
And, you know, I started doing the same thing in middle school, and people started asking me about where's my real mom. I just said she was dead because it really messed with my head when I didn't know. I didn't like when people ask, where's your mom? If I say I don't know, then it's just more questions to follow.
Right.
So if you tell people someone's dead, the question
Just
stops
closes
like that.
it. Yeah.
So that's what
It's
she
easier.
did.
Yeah.
But then he let me know that that's what she told him, and then he asked if I wanted to talk to her, and I'm like, I got the chance to talk to my mom for the first time in 13 years. So I did, and I remember I picked up my phone and I saw a random number, but I knew it was her. And then I swiped and picked up the phone, and I heard her voice, and she just said my name. And I just immediately burst into tears, like I'm on top of the bathroom counter, curled up in a ball, my big ass, like just bawling.
Makes sense.
And it was just like surreal. Like that moment, never gonna forget it.
Yeah.
And I got a lot of clarity, but there was also a lot of negativity found because, you know, like you still in the same shit. Like 13 years later, you're still doing the same shit. So that's the anger that's still there that came out. So we'd be yelling, fighting, cursing, never physical but verbally, because we had so much hurt in between us. And eventually, I couldn't take care of her. You know, I'm 18, graduating high school. I'm about to go play college ball.
Yeah.
And she's still living in shelters. So I drove her to the Greyhound bus station. And she had friends in New Jersey, so she ended up going to New Jersey. And then New Jersey didn't work out. Fast forward to this year, January. This Christmas, I got a call from my mom that she's in a mental health ward in New Jersey because the friends that she was with, you know, they were using fentanyl. So I found out that she relapsed on fentanyl again, and then she tried to kill herself. So she's in a psych ward.
Damn, bro.
So then, you know, I'm not living with my adoptive mom. I'm on my own. I got a roommate.
Yeah.
Who actually works at Bottled still.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dex, maybe you know him.
I met Dex.
Yeah,
Dex. I met Dex. Yeah.
So that's my boy. That's my roommate. And I had a talk with him, and you know, I really told him like what's going on with my biological mom, and he knows my story.
Yeah.
And I ended up moving her in with us. So from January, end of December,
from the
psych ward in New Jersey, moved her into our house. Yeah. And that was rough, man, because that was opening up.
And she was already sick by this point too, because we fast forward a little bit beyond college. This is beyond when you came back from Nebraska, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
That too. And did you see your mom from the point of going to play college ball to her moving into your house at all?
Oh, once, because I did take a trip out to Jersey.
Okay.
And I surprise visited her.
Yeah.
So I literally, I got a backpack and a duffel bag, went to New York, flew into New York. An old homeboy that played at Saguaro showed me around New Jersey from the day. Then I hopped on a bus, 1 a.m., showed up at the front door that she was at and surprised her.
Damn, bro, that's crazy. Like, did you ever feel, scared traveling alone? Just,
Not.
Especially going to, a city, flying into New York City, bro. That's a big-ass city.
Yeah.
You're taking, trains and stuff. And, growing up in Phoenix, dude, you're lucky if you see a train.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So,
and how did you feel about that?
So for me, I feel like I've gone through the worst I could ever go through in life.
Facts.
And that single moment for me is getting abandoned at that crack house. Facts. So anytime I struggle or I'm uncertain or unclear, I just tell myself, I know I can get through it. Because if I got through that, then what else can I get through? And now I actually have support.
Yeah.
So it's whatever bad happens, I know I can get through it, but also I now have the choice to not go through it alone. Mm-hmm. And that's still something that I struggle with, is actually reaching out to people when I'm in situations or struggling with something.
Asking for help, man.
Yeah.
That's the hardest thing, especially
at 5 years old, you had nobody to ask essentially for help. And that's where that's where
you didn't even you weren't even taught how to do that.
Nah, it was just
right. It's as much as the bullshit that I went through growing up, it's at a certain age, I was taught to ask for help. As much as I resisted it, I didn't want it. Like I was taught how to do it, and still to that point, you're like, but as a man as well, man, that's the thing, dude. Like that's the whole like,
harder.
Negative masculinity, man. It's
relationships.
like the idea, but it's like a man, like like we're men. We're not allowed to cry. We're supposed to provide. We're supposed to be the strong dude in the home, wherever we are. We're not allowed to cry. That's not part of our DNA. That's fucking bullshit, bro.
Oh yeah.
Like we're allowed to struggle, man. Like we're human beings. Like why do we separate that? Like why does a man have to deal with that shit?
That's why
dude? That makes no sense to me.
Suicide is so much
Exactly.
higher
Yeah.
than female suicide.
Exactly.
Because of that stigma.
Yeah.
That's been put on people. And again, but we can only say from a certain point, being 5 years old from that point on and feeling like that, like that's
it makes no honestly, bro, it makes no sense to me why you're alive today.
And this is
honestly.
the craziest
So I do want to
part.
circle back though to the point of like you moved your mom in January.
Yeah.
So I do want to get to the end of that story.
So I reached out to a friend who owned a DDD group home, and for elderly people that have serious mental health issues. Yeah. And, my mom's always been a caretaker. So I asked, and I was like, hey, this is the situation that we got going on. Could you at least do an interview? And she was like, yeah, bring your mom. And I live in Tempe, and this place is in Peoria. So that's like a 45-minute drive.
Yeah.
So, I brought her, did the interview. She's like, okay, cool. Yeah, we can do this. So then she's working. So my mom has nothing. She came with 2 suitcases of clothes, and that was it. So I'm taking her from Tempe to Peoria, then going to my job, then double back, which is in Phoenix. So I'm going Tempe, Peoria, Phoenix 2 times every day for like 3 months, taking her to work and picking her up and doing all of that. And then also the living situation, because she's living in me. So I feel like I don't even have my own space anymore.
Right.
And then we start getting in those same arguments, less severe than 18. But still just the arguments.
How old were you at this time?
I'm 22. So I'm 22. So this was earlier this year, 22.
Damn, yeah, holy.
So this was January to March?
Yeah.
And it wasn't working out. And I told her, like you have the deadline to move out. And it got real explosive. She didn't like that.
I'm sure, man.
And I'm just trying to figure out how in depth I want to get in with this. But ultimately she ended up leaving, and she went back to one of the men that used to abuse me and her. And I had to come to the fact that I'm not the parent, and I tried to be the parent at 18. I tried to be the parent again at 22. And that's not my role.
Not at all.
And that was a really hard pill to swallow.
Yeah. Of course, man.
For sure.
But I know that she kept the job. I still keep in contact with the boss that owns that home, and she's still working there. So that means from January to now, she's still been at that job. As far as I know, she's clean. So I really hope that, she keeps and stays on this path.
Yeah.
Because I don't hate her. Hate is such a strong thing.
No.
And what I figured about hate is you're the only one that feels it. So when I was so angry all the time, I was walking around with hatred, but nobody else was feeling that. It was just me. So I'm carrying that with me everywhere. Like I got a chip on my shoulder, like I got something to prove to everybody. And that wasn't the case.
It's also validated though, honestly, man. Like I don't think hate is something we should ever, leave this world with at all. But when you go through something like that, and it's in stages, it can like your story, that trauma after trauma. The older person in your life that's supposed to be a positive influence, that's supposed to teach you how to maneuver through this world, is the person that's the exact opposite to that. It makes it easy to have those feelings, but it's beautiful that you realize that that's hate is not an option, and to be able to, it's not being selfish, man. It's separating yourself and knowing that it's so important to take care of yourself first and foremost, and then you can be a positive light for your mom, for other people in the community, and that's what you're doing now. Right? Like that's you. And when we first met, you were working
At the club.
At the
security.
club, and that's to bring it full circle, man. It was like you told me the story, pieces of this story,
Yeah.
and then you were like, "Yo, I'm like starting to work, to help like foster kids." But now you're full time, dude.
Yeah, I work full
Yeah.
time.
When did
for
that
the
happen?
state. Ooh, about a year ago.
Yeah.
About a year ago, I think May. Last May is when I first started. And then I was doing both jobs. So I was working security and working with 14 to 20-year-olds in foster care. So in the state of Arizona, we have extended foster care, which is 18 to 21.
Yeah.
So you can be in regular foster care, 0 infants to 18, and then you age out. So then the 18-year-olds are presented a choice if they want to sign a voluntary agreement and enter extended foster care. And then there's a lot more resources within extended foster care.
Which
Yeah.
is fantastic. I mean, is that
Yeah.
newer or has that been around for a while?
It was established, I believe, in 2007.
Okay, so it's
So it's relatively new
Yeah.
in the state of child welfare.
Yeah.
Although the program is ever changing and more resources are being implemented, and the education about those resources is improved way since then.
And to go back to like Coach Martinez and your Uncle Jay, where you were able to like personally relate to them, and they were able to step into a position of influence in your life. Now you're in that position,
Yeah.
working with kids to influence them because you're able to tell them your story,
And
you
I get where they come from because I've
Yeah.
been there. And a lot of these kids.
By the way, this pot is so hot right now. I think we set off a fire alarm.
right?
I think we set off a fire alarm across the street, bro.
Oh, fire in the
So
building.
my ADD ass heard that fire alarm going off, and then I look outside. And
Chase
it
went
looks
into like, oh no, man. The
I was
pot,
just like,
no, I like looked outside and I saw the light flashing on the side of our building, and I was like, wait, is that the office fire alarm going off? And then I look over, it's like that restaurant over there. The
Oh,
power
it's over
probably
there.
went out because
Yeah.
the monsoon's a brewing.
oh,
Yeah.
hey.
I was coming.
But man, so
a
we're
fire
rounding it out here. Like you were able to take the crazy turmoil that you went through, and somehow, still even talking through this for an hour
Yeah.
of you telling your story, I still, it's hard for me to fathom how you were to go through that in your childhood. Because I thought I went through a rough childhood with certain, but like it has, and it's obviously not about comparing. Like we just all go
Yeah.
through our own struggles.
Yeah.
But you went through something so hard on your heart, your brain. It's so, dude, this is such a good story for kids to hear, man. Because it's like, yo, you like there's another 5-year-old out there right now going through similar
Yeah. For sure.
that you went through, and they have a choice, right? It's like narrow, like and Robert Frost, like two roads diverge at narrow wood. Like they have that choice to go this way or that way, and it obviously depends on the influences they have in their life. And you had some really good influences, but for some reason, dude, you had some. I don't know what. I still don't understand where your intuition came from. Like there was some deep shit in you that like helped you end up going the right way, but there was some really good influences in your life.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be here without them.
You wouldn't. And now you're in a position which it's beautiful, man. Like you're taking your struggle and you're turning that to a positive thing, to like, it's like the Gary Vee thing about regret. It's like when you're 75 years old and you look back in your life, you're on your deathbed, or 80 years old, 90 years old, whatever it is. You look back, like, did I leave the world a better place? Bro, like you're changing kids' lives every day now.
When did you officially realize that you wanted to get into that?
Bro,
What led you in? Like, what got you into that specifically?
That's a great question. Yeah, I love that.
That's tough, man. I don't know, because even when I asked my biological mom, about me and as a kid, she'd say like, even when we didn't have nothing, if I got food or something and I saw somebody that was homeless, I'd still want to go and give.
Yeah.
And that's just been me since a kid.
Mm-hmm.
So now, I thought it was going to be the teaching with the 3 to 5-year-olds.
Mm-hmm.
And that was cool, and I loved it, and it was so cool, like Mr. PK and being a teacher and getting to be a part of these little kids' lives. And some of them, their parents have my number and they'll text me here and there, and that's so dope. Like I love that.
Yeah.
For me, I then found that I wanted to go to an age that I could relate more to. So now working with 14 and 20-year-olds,
Yeah.
they can have those more complex situations. For some of them, you're almost 18, 19, or 20. So it's teaching them stuff or speaking from personal experience or like really sitting them down and having those talks that my mentors had with me. And that it fills a void that was created back then, and no other feeling feels anything like it.
Yeah, I bet that's incredible, man. So right now you're living such an impactful life.
Yeah.
Future, like looking towards the future. Do you is there a bigger dream for you?
Oh yeah.
What is that?
Oh.
I love that.
Let's go.
So ideally, I want to get land, and I want to build my own community center that has all the outlets. So physical, emotional. So, like a studio, or a lot of young adults I know that want to learn how to cut hair. So throw barber in there. Also have the therapy if they want, but not talk therapy, because in my opinion, it's not that beneficial. I've seen a lot of different music therapy. I've seen equine therapy. So kind of like a one-stop shop community center.
That's
that
dope.
These, not just kids in foster care, but the whole community. So like at-risk youth in general can come to and have a safe space.
Safe space. Yeah, I love that.
Here's another question too that I've been wanting to ask. So we talked about earlier how it's impossible to relate really to your story and to kids, like coming from my background to your background. I could say, oh, I relate to you, but I really don't. I can't fully relate to that. Like, what do you say to those people, especially people who want to foster or take on troubled youth and things like that? Like, how do you communicate? How do you relate? Like, what's the best way, if you had to say, to relate to someone like that?
So I'll say the biggest thing is meeting them where they're at. I feel like a lot of people just put their own beliefs on these young adults or create their own expectations.
Yeah.
And it's not up to anybody to live up to your own expectations, regardless of where you come from. Like if you expect him to be something, that's not his job to be what you expected him to be. So not putting that expectation on that kid or on that young adult, and meet them where they're at. Like, where are they at? Like, you might get a kid and they might not talk to you at all. And you may not know why, but just being there, just being a support. Because that's how you start breaking the ice. Like, I'll tell you, when I was first adopted, I was angry. I was cursing her out. I was like, you'll never be my mom. You're just some lady. Like, the worst hurtful things I could say to break her. And it didn't work. And she stayed there. So growing up, I didn't realize how powerful and strong
That strength, that root, right? Because it's not always that the person in your life needs to relate to you. It's that they're just going to continue to show you
No matter what.
that I love you, that I'm a root, I'm a backbone for you. I'm always here, no matter what. I am always here. They don't need to relate.
Yeah,
and that's a cool thing too. That's what I've learned through my years too. Like it's
okay.
Yeah, the coaching I got was like, it's like it's most impactful when you can tell a story of your own life, and you never give advice, but you could say, yo, this is what I've been through.
Yeah, speak from I.
Yeah, speak from I. Number one, but even aside from that, it's just like you just show love, man. Like you just feel like, yo, I support you. I know you're angry.
Yeah.
Like these kids, like I know that I've worked with a lot of kids. I'm like, I know you're angry.
Yeah.
I love you, bro. Like I'm here. Whatever you need. I'm not going to say I understand what you're going through. I've been through some of my own shit, but that's whatever. But like, I'm here, dude.
And never invalidate somebody's emotions.
No, absolutely not, bro. Yeah. Absolutely not.
Never. Like, don't.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter what it is. If they lost their because they dropped their ice cream cone. Like, okay, you dropped your ice cream. Like, cool, okay.
But that stems to something.
Yeah.
That's something.
Because it's not about the ice cream cone. I promise you, it's not
about
the ice cream.
Absolutely not, bro.
Facts.
Yeah.
Facts.
No, there's a deep-seated thing there. I couldn't agree with you more, man. Yo, PK, I love you, bro. This has been so special to me.
Yeah, mad respect, bro. Love
yeah.
you, G.
I'm hyped to run it back too. Maybe we can get like Coach Martinez or Uncle Jay back on this.
Yo,
with
by the
you.
way, I still own PullenFoundation.org, so if we still got to do something with that.
Yeah.
I would love that, man. I think you have a lot of epic things to do in the world, and you're just at the beginning of your journey. How you said 23?
22. That's
22?
crazy.
Yeah, 22.
I feel like when I said your age, 10 years beyond your age, like
Yeah, that's crazy. I'm 21,
you talk
and like
30
to think about like my,
God, bro. Just because the girls you talk to are 21 doesn't mean you're.
All right, I gotta go. I love you, bro. PK, this has been real. Lobster and Beer is back. I love you guys.
Love you.
Peace.
Peace.